So we'll begin. If you're just hopping on welcome. If you're just hopping on, welcome to IJS Online Yoga Studio. My name is Cantor Lizzie Shammash, and I'm physically located in Philadelphia and really happy to lead this wonderful community each week. It's great to see you. It's great to see you. We're going to use today a chair, a blanket, a belt, a block, and some wall space. That's a lot of things. If you don't have them all, don't worry. But try to have the chair, the blanket, and the belt. Some kind of strap, resistance band if you can. A few announcements from IJS before we begin, and as you gather your props, you can just listen. We have the next prayer project with Rabbi Shefa Gold beginning soon. Sacred chant. It's a wonderful, wonderful prayer project. And if you have the time, I think it begins on December 19th. The link is here. Adi shared it. A prayer intensive focused on healing and transformation through text and song and sound. The link is there. You can check that out. And super and wonderfully important, today we have a sponsorship of yoga, which is so exciting. Our class today is sponsored by Karen Morris. Karen is a weekly attendee of our yoga, and she is the principal of the religious school at Dor Hadash in Pittsburgh. She's a wonderful human being. And Karen is sponsoring for this 8th day of Hanukkah in memory and in honor of her mother, Ruth Eleanor Neyhouse, Rochel Bat Tzvi Nechama. And she's doing this during Hanukkah, she says, which my mother treasured to celebrate with her family. And it's also close to her birthday, which just happened on December 4th. So happy birthday, Karen, and a beautiful tribute to your mom. Karen also shared that her mom used to give all the grandchildren actual cash in a card for Hanukkah. And many of us remember when we were sent cards with actual cash in them. It really brings us back to a day. So I love that beautiful tribute. Your mom's generosity and gelt all around. So thank you, Karen. Let us begin. We're going to start seated. And I got us a visual. I brought my Chanukia up, and hopefully I won't burn the joint down. So if you see a candle fall, please unmute yourself and let me know. I wanted to also tell you one other thing. I put this here, and I'll tell you again at the end. Hugger Mugger has a sale on bolsters, $20 off. It's an amazing opportunity if you've been thinking of buying a bolster. So I'll give you the link at the end. Bolsters really can change your yoga practice and your life. Mine was chewed up by my puppy many years ago, so I finally treated myself to another one, and it's in the mail. So I'll tell you again about that at the end. Okay. So finding a comfortable seat. We're going to start with a twist. So sit to the right side of your chair. I'm just moving so you can see me a little bit. Place in between your knees either the block or the blanket. If you don't have a block, or if you just want some more comfort. Right between your knees on the thin level. That helps us as we draw the knees together to feel the inner line of the leg from the inner knee to the groin. And in bringing the knees together, you might feel some opening and spaciousness, hopefully, across the low back, across the sacrum. So we're going to inhale here as we squeeze the block and feel how that also helps us to lift the spine, the anterior spine from the front. And then as you exhale, take a twist to the right. So we're pressing with the right hand and pulling with the left hand. And of course, it depends how your chair is configured. But pulling with the left, pressing with the right, lifting the spine, letting the rib cage spin. And then see about the head neck. If you can take it with you over the right shoulder. So that push-pull helps you into this twisting, clarifying action, really detoxifying for the abdominal organs, very nourishing. for the whole spine, for the spinal fluid. Let the breath be easy. It's not really so full in this twist position, but you can just let it be easy, coming and going. Feel free to come in and out a couple times if that's better for you. And then as you're ready, release, and we'll take the other side, so moving to the left side of your chair. Let you see from the back. Inhaling a tall spine, continuing to squeeze that block, feeling its influence, its information that it gives you through the groins, through the low back. Inhale tall, and as you exhale, spin to the left. Pressing with the left hand, pushing with the left hand, pulling with the right hand. Trying to notice, are my shoulders even? Where's the rib cage in space? Just starting little diagnostics here. Where am I? How am I? Finding that length of the spine and spin of the rib cage. It might be early for you in the morning or first thing that you're doing to really move. So don't worry if there's not a lot of movement to this twist. We'll revisit. And then come on back to center. Just have a comfortable seat, a tall spine. You can even, if you like, continue to work with the block as we sit. Gather some information from the block. Let your sitting bones land. I'm going to share some teaching. Feel free to keep your eyes open or closed. Keep your attention with the breath as you let the teaching just kind of wash through you, wash over you, wash into you. It's not a highly intellectual teaching today. It's really an experiential teaching. So just be with it. Be with it. Be with my words, the sound of my voice. So I really wanted to take advantage of a second teaching for Hanukkah. I've really been excited by this holiday this year and glad to share some more. So we talked last week a little bit about the visual of the body as a candle, the spine and the central nervous system as the wick, right? Spine, central nervous system, sense of nefesh, of soul in the most internal core as the wick, right? Our central nervous system, our spine, controls so much that goes on in the body. And then the wax surrounding the wick as the musculoskeletal system, the muscles, the bones, the tissues. And then we spoke about the flame, so many beautiful flames here as the Cantor, the crown illuminating full flame. So we have now 9 of these beautiful representations here. And if the spine is, the wick is central as our spine, then the Shammash is the spine of the whole enterprise, isn't it? Giving light to the others, responsible as the helper to share. And my own name withstanding, I'm really moved. I'm really moved by this idea of the Shamash, which has an ability to give light to the others and a job to do, right? To help, giving strength, giving light. But the part that I'm so moved by is that its own light is not diminished by the giving of light, you know? Its own light is not diminished. And so often when we share, when we give, we see it as a zero-sum game. Like if I give to you, then I lose something. Or we tire ourselves out in the giving. Or, you know, I give to you, I don't have enough left for myself, right? And how do we know that's not how it is. And yet sometimes it's very tricky to get out of that paradigm. So how do we get out of that paradigm and shift ourselves into a way of giving that doesn't result in a sense of depletion for ourselves? So how do we take on a sense of Shammash nature or Shammash consciousness? I really throw this out for your consideration, both emotionally and psychologically, but even more so, really deeply, deeply in the body wisdom, the body knowing. So a couple of my thoughts are certainly, in order to give without being depleted, we have to have an alignment, right? We have to have a physical alignment that supports our well-being. If we're out of alignment and we give constantly from, or work constantly from a place that's not balanced, that's not even, we create imbalance, we create disease, we create strife. We create resentment, we create jealousy, all kinds of physical and emotional imbalances, so to speak. And we have to have an alignment also of kavanah, of purpose, of intention, right? We have to really be clear that we know what we're giving, we want to be giving, we're willing, right? And we call that being in sync or being in a flow state. Or working toward our highest purpose. So how do we create causes and conditions for this? That's really my question here. So I want to work today on alignment and continue some of what we discussed last week with the shoulder girdle and kind of take it beautifully through the whole body. And then also consider twists as detoxification and clarification of intention and of purpose. So twists can be very rejuvenating and renewing and help us to embody this sense of the Shammash. So alignment, general alignment, finding balance, and twists. So today's kavanah, very simply, may I embody the nature of the Shammash. May I embody the nature of the Shammash that can share with the others and not be diminished in its own light, right? And really only grow to increase the light for everybody, for the community, for the world, for all consciousness. So let us stand. And if you can find some wall space, great. And if not, that's fine. And the first thing we're going to do is come to the wall, if you have a wall, or be in the middle of the room and take a mountain pose. You can take the feet together or you can take them hip width apart. Raise the arms to shoulder height. Draw the upper arm bones back into the shoulders, like suck those upper arm bones in. At the same time, simultaneously sending the fingertips out, and then begin to lift the arms overhead. You kind of lose me on the video, plus I hit a dormer wall, but you understand what I'm saying. So upward facing mountain pose, as it were, and just notice what there is to notice. Find the feet, lengthen the tailbone, breathe evenly in and out. And of course, if the shoulders have limitations, you want to take the arms either in a wide V or bend the elbows. You can even just keep the hands on the hips. And notice any information you get from the wall, too, if you're at the wall, about what parts of you are touching the wall, where the curves of the spine come away from the wall. Okay, and then come and grab your block, and if you don't have a block, again, a folded blanket, take it on the narrow side between the thighs, up towards the groins. And the belt, you want a belt shoulder width, so that's essentially inner armpit to inner armpit across the upper chest. I measure it, and that should more or less do it. Take the strap onto your wrist and come back to the wall if you're at the wall. So back of the hips at the wall, shoulders at the wall. Squeezing on that block. And now again, coming up to shoulder height first. So now you have the added resistance from the belt to press the hands out into the belt. And if the wrists, if it hurts there, just take it a little further up the forearm to the meatier part of the forearm. Remember to send those fingertips away, but also to suck those upper arm bones into the shoulder girdle, right? So they're not coming forward, they're really onto the back. And here's where we really add the addition of drawing the bottom tips of the shoulder blades down the back as the fingertips come up. And honestly, you can get a lot of work from this pose without going very far up. So go slowly. You can come back down and rest. Take your time. We're really just trying to receive information. So here we are, that candle, wick, wax, flame. Embody the candle. And then you can release. And then one more time, without the props, here we can see, what have we learned? What have we gained? And maybe even this time, come away from the wall. So feel it out for yourself, mountain pose with the arms overhead. And see what your body, what your nervous system can recall, can remember from the work we just did. If the shoulders are tight and limited, this can be really difficult. And I think at a certain point in life, whose shoulders don't have limitations, after all the use, all the wonderful use we give our shoulders, right? So go easy. Notice any imbalance from right to left. Just feel out that alignment. How can I work through this pose in a way so as not to tire myself out? We're investigating. Great, and then come on down. We're going to grab the chair. The first thing we're going to do is mountain pose with the hands behind you onto the chair, palms rotated forward. So palms pressing into the chair, lifting the chest. Really use that pressing in. Let that pressing in widen the collarbones. See if that tends to thrust the rib cage forward, and see if you can soften both back ribs and front ribs, so that you're not just compensating for this opening and width by thrusting the whole rib cage forward. Feel those feet pressing down. Let the breath be slow and easy and calm. Soften the eyes and the muscles behind the eyes. Right, and there's a lot of work coming with that pressing the fingertips forward, and perhaps a lot of work in opening these upper ribs and upper intercostals. Good, and then let's release that. We're going to take a little side bend here. Take the chair over to your right side, standing a little bit away from the chair. Right hand on the chair. We're going to press that right hand down and take a side bend over to the right. So that can be with hands on hips, with the left hand on the left hip, or you can bring it up and just rest it onto your head, or if you like, you can extend the arm and extend through the fingertips. But the biggest thing is here we're adding the chair, which we often don't use. Let's really use this by making sure we press down into the chair Notice how that helps lift the right side of the ribs. Even as we're side bending, we're not just falling over. We want to find a lift of the rib cage away from the pelvis, right? Find some space for the abdomen. Pressing down. The side bend is kind of secondary to this lifting. Feet pressing down, crown, flame, pressing away. And then come on up. You can either just turn around or you can take the chair to the other side. Either way. Before we go to the other side, just notice, pause, notice anything there is to notice in the side body. Feeling from within. Every time we do a pose, there's an imprint on the nervous system, an imprint, an imprint, an imprint. So we want to pause in our practice because that's what we're trying to do, is teach our nervous system give it some knowledge, give it some rewiring where necessary. So we want to pause and check that out. So now, taking that left hand, pressing it into the chair, pressing the feet down to the earth, finding that space through the whole abdominal cavity, and taking the side bend, and the arm can go wherever is most comfortable for you. And if the arm is coming all the way overhead, you can't see my hand, but palm facing down. So nice, and you can figure out how far away to be from the chair. Renew and continue that pressing down of the left hand to get that sort of lift on the inside of this form, on the inner side. Much easier to get the lift on the right side of the body, but can we also obtain it on the left? And then come on up. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is place the leg on the chair. So you're going to come to the wall, and you're going to place the right leg on the chair. Take your strap with you. So I'm going to show you not at the wall because I want you to see what I'm doing here. Right leg is on the chair, and you can have it higher. You can have it higher, but I'm more concerned with the back body than I am with the hamstring of the right leg for this. So again, belting the wrists. Find that grounding through your left leg. Feel the wall at your back as you start to come up with the arms. So we're really asking for a lot of integrity in our alignment. Right, so isn't that also part of the leadership of the Shammash for the rest of the Chanukiah, right? A certain amount of integrity. I should say complete integrity. And again, you can come down, you can go back. Feel those bottom tips of the shoulder blades really drawing down the back, anchoring you. And then switch sides. So standing on the right leg, send the left leg out to the chair. You want to feel too that the hips are even with each other, right? There's maybe a tendency to hike up that left hip. See that thigh grounds, sitting bone grounds, right? Even though it's in space, it's grounding down. And then once again, with the strap. You know, and another opportunity, depending, you can either take your belt really wide, or you can just hold the strap really wide if your shoulders are tight, and just have it here. That's still really nice information, however you work it, whether it's belted or just straight. Finding a sense of that outer shoulder, outer armpit drawing around forward to really support. That's the lats, isn't it? The latissimus dorsi, right? Through the armpit to the triceps. You want to really find that relationship, that connection. Inner and outer wrist extending up evenly. And then come on down. We're going to bring the chair right at the wall. We're going to stack block and blanket onto the chair. We're going to be taking a twist. So it's going to go like this. Your right hip is at the wall. Your right leg is up. Your left leg is standing. You want the knee to be a little higher than the hip. So we're going to inhale, ground down, lift up, and then as we exhale, we twist to the wall. The right hand comes onto the wall, and the left hand comes to the outer right knee. So we're pressing the wall away and pulling the left hand into the left knee, pulling the left hand into the right knee. Right hip is sandwiched here at the wall. So feeling this twist. So you can control it, right? You can choose how much pressure into that right hand and how much twist. Feel from the inside, are the shoulders even? Is the neck and head, are the neck and head attached to the rest of the spine? Can you bring them in line? And come in and out a couple of times. And then as you're ready, you'll release and bring the chair over to the other side. So now the right leg is the standing leg and the left knee is up. The left hip is at the wall. Again, the knee a little higher than the hip. You don't have to have it quite as much angle as mine, but you want it a little higher. Inhale, ground in two directions. Feel that candle wick. Feel that line. And as you exhale, turn. The right hand is coming to the outer left knee, and the left hand is coming to the wall. So again, it's that same push-pull, isn't it? Left hand pushing the wall away, right hand pulling the knee toward you. What do you feel? What do you notice? And how can you work with the alignment so that you gain energy rather than become sapped of energy? That's both in the micro and the macro, right? That both relates to the pose and our life, right? So first we practice in the pose. How can I do this without becoming depleted? We let it radiate off the mat, right? Again, that imprint eventually becomes the blueprint, the imprint for our lives. We're going to go to the floor now. You can move the chair away. Keep the strap nearby. Keep the block nearby. Take the blanket. And we're going to make a roll with the blanket. So here's what I suggest. If your thoracic spine, your mid-back is really, really tight, take the blanket from this space, from that fold, and just fold it one more time so it's like this, and place it down about 1/3 of the way down your mat. It's going to give you a little lift and supported back bend, but not a ton. I would... The next thing, if you have a little more openness through the thoracic spine, is open the blanket to this fold. And then iron it out a little with your hands. And fold the blanket the long edge. Make a nice tight jelly roll of the blanket on the long edge. And if or when you get your bolster, you could use your bolster for this. Okay, so here's our blanket. Keep the belt nearby. We're gonna come onto the blanket, lay the tops of the shoulders onto the blanket, take the elbows, hook them around the top of the blanket, kind of drag yourself toward the top of the mat while you pin the skin in the downward direction toward your heels, right? So you're taking your trapezius muscles, the tops of the shoulders, between the shoulder blades, you're drawing that muscle down the body as your crown comes away. And here you are with the bottom third of the shoulder blade against the blanket. You'll kind of know that spot when you get it. Hopefully you can feel that sweet spot. Okay, couple options here. You can stay with knees bent, soles of the feet on the floor. You can lengthen the legs away. You can take opposite elbows and take the arms overhead. Just get a little bit of passive stretch here. These are all options, only suggestions. Really, I'm asking you to feel into your own body what would feel just right and supportive right now. See if you can allow your body to drop into the bolster, the blanket, into the earth. Let the hips be heavy. See that the neck is long. It's not crunched, still long. And back of the head to the mat. And if it is crunched, if this is a little too much, you either want to lessen the blanket roll or take the mat and fold it back. Have a little something under your head so you lift up the back of your head. So with each exhale, surrendering a little bit. Surrendering the weight of the body, surrendering the work. Notice how this feels in the front of the rib cage. There may be some opening, nice yawning open of those front intercostals. How often do you give them attention and love? This is so important for your respiratory system. And can you, even though we're in this back bend, can you still lengthen the tailbone? You may even want to press into the feet, lift the hips, lengthen the tailbone, and then lay the sacrum back down. Just find a little more length in that low back. And then grab your belt. And we're going to the same place again, friends. So belt the wrists or the forearms. What is it like when we begin to investigate now, taking the arms overhead? Now you really have the blanket and your position here against the earth, pinning those trapezius muscles down the back so that hopefully the shoulders can't really lift toward the ears. So you bring the arms overhead or toward overhead. Again, you can figure out if you'd prefer to have knees bent or legs extended, or start with them bent and then extend them. Continuing to press the arms out against the belt. Feel the opening for the armpits. Let's really give yourself the time for this personal investigation. And notice if you're, even though the chest is supportive, notice if you have a tendency to just thrust the chest up. And can you really let the chest drop into the blanket? Let the blanket do the work of the opening. You don't have to do anything. And if the blanket isn't hitting the right place on your back, find the right place for you. Maybe it's somewhere a little lower. Maybe it's between the base of the shoulder blades and the base of the rib cage. Feel free to stay here as long as you want. If you're really having a great time, just keep with it. If you're ready to come out, then come on out. And when you do come on out, release the strap, roll to the side, pull the blanket away. And come back onto the back. So here's this sacred pause, right, between poses, where we see what happened, what's different, what's new. Does it feel better? Does it feel worse? Sometimes it feels worse. We don't want it to, but maybe we've made a couple miscalculations, and then we feel that we did that. Right? So, and it's without judgment, without fault, it's really just noticing. Has anything shifted, opened? What do you feel? And how's your breath? That's often the best determining factor. Right, so how can I align? How can I align so that I don't deplete myself? I'm grabbing the strap one more time. You can take your foot into the belted part, or you can unbelt the whole thing. It doesn't really matter. We're going to take the right leg up towards the ceiling with the strap on the heel. And the left knee can be bent, or you can extend the left leg long. Now we are giving the hamstring a bit more of a stretch. And also stabilizing the low back. We're not going to stay too long. Switching sides. So how can I find a sense of myself as Shammash, as the giver, as the helper, as the lender of light, sharer of light, and also continue to expand and hold my own light, right? And then release the left leg. We're going to finish, before our final relaxation, we're going to just take one more pose, which is going to be a nice twist. And hopefully the work in the chair and then the work at the wall made it so that we can really receive this very sumptuously. So grab the block or the blanket with the heels on the floor. Shift the hips a little bit over to the left, an inch or two. Draw the knees in towards the chest and place the block or the blanket between the knees, like along the inner shin, the inner lower leg. And as you exhale, take those knees over to the right. The block or blanket between the legs, I mean, if you're really open in the outer left thigh and the outer hip, you don't necessarily need it, but it can be so nice to just mitigate a little bit the twist and help us stay a little longer. Help us ground that left shoulder blade and outer left shoulder. So that's the purpose of the prop there. Just allow yourself to savor this twist. Just let this twist nourish the spine, the paraspinal muscles, and the whole abdominal cavity, all the abdominal organs. And as you're ready, come on up through center. Again, feel free to stay longer if you like. Shift the hips a little bit to the right. Draw the knees in. Place the block or blanket between your lower legs. Exhale the knees over to the left. That right arm out to the side by the shoulder, giving you anchor, helping anchor the shoulder blade, the outer shoulder. And the left hand, if you like, can either be extended or can rest atop the outer right knee. Just feel the beauty, the blessing of this twist. This last day of the light of Hanukkah. Just resting in the light, in the nourishment of the illumination. And as you're ready, come on out of the twist. And extend your body fully into stillness. Take any last stretch, yawn, or wiggle. And allow your body to settle into stillness. Either laying completely flat, the legs as wide as the mat, the arms out to the sides, 8 or 10 inches to the sides. Allow the eyes to close. Or if you prefer, bending the knees. Some moments of quiet. Receive the work, receive the class, receive the lessons in your nervous system and your deepest being. And as you're ready, beginning to deepen the breath. Make your way up to a comfortable seat. Take your time. Tall spine, tall wick. Crown luminous. Allow yourself to feel, if just for this last moment, non-doing, non-effort. An awareness and a being that reflects the role of the Shammash, giving light, sharing light freely, openly, fully. And as you're ready, you can allow the eyes to open. Shavua Tov, and thanks everyone for practicing today. Again, an enormous thanks to Karen Morris for her gratitude in sponsoring yoga today. It's a beautiful gift to all of us. And I'll add that as you work with your year-end planning, if these classes have meant something to you, IJS welcomes a gift in any amount. We're here for you every day, free of charge, and these donations help us so much to continue our work. So thank you in advance for anything you might be able to give. And we'll put the link for bolsters, for yoga props in the chat, huggermugger.com. It's $20 off. It said flash sale, so I'm assuming that kind of means they'll go till they go. So if you've really been thinking about it for a long time, but a bolster feels like too big an investment, really consider it, because $20 off is fantastic. I think they run like with the $20 off, $62 to $72, something like that. So great opportunity to donate to IJS. Thank you, Adi. There's the link. And I am happy to field questions and thoughts and reactions. Yeah, let me just put this link to yoga props here for you.
Lizzie, I just want to thank you. I've missed yoga for almost 2 months. I had an injury, and this was perfect for what I needed to come back again. So I will be traveling for a while. I may not be able to join you live, but I did do like 10 minutes of one of your recordings. So I'm on the mend. That's the important thing.
Beautiful. Who is that? Because I can't see.
It's Mary Wujek.
Oh, Mary, welcome back.
State College. It's great to be back.
Refuah Shlema, I'm glad you're back from injury.
Thank you.
That's great. That's great.
Thank you.
Lizzie, I have a question about the chair against the wall when you're lifting your leg. The purpose of being by the wall is simply for balance, right? So that I can make sure I'm centered, my weight is centered, and I am fully standing on and then just braced a little bit by the chair, right? Because I had problems processing your instructions for some reason, and I couldn't seem to get set up the way I saw you. But I hoped. I mean, am I supposed to be using? What is the purpose of the wall when you have one leg on the chair, and
yeah? So the wall is helping you twist in the same way the chair is making you twist.
Okay.
So this push pull.
Mm-hmm. Well, the twist is not really my question. It's before the twist.
No, but that's what the wall is for. You asked what the wall is for. The wall is helping. The wall is helping for this. And as you set up, yes, you should. It's also going to help you with balance.
That's what I was curious about.
When the knee is next to the. So think about it, Jody. You answered your own question really easily.
Okay. Well, I
So
want to thank Karen for sponsoring this beautiful practice today too, and Hag Sameach, everyone. So thank you.
Lizzie,
hold on,
Lizzie,
hold on. If you're, please notice if you're unnecessarily muted because we're getting a lot of extra noise. And I see Mona's hand up, and then I think Linda wanted to say something, and then Joan. So Mona, Linda, Joan, go for it.
Hi there. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Lizzie, I wanted to know if you could just, verbally just quickly go over again how to access the online recordings of the yoga again.
Yeah, it's IJS's YouTube channel. Adi will drop the link into the chat.
I just
She's
put a link
amazing.
in the chat.
Like, there we go.
I will also say, never been a better time to subscribe to the IJS YouTube channel.
It's
right?
true. Please subscribe and press your likes and everything. That's really helpful to get the algorithm out there, et cetera, on this really good offering for the world. So yes, please subscribe. And let me take a moment too to thank Adi, who is not only our Hanukkah miracle, but our miracle every time we gather and keeping us from going off the rails. So he's a great blessing. Let's see who was next. It was Joan and then Linda and then Wendy.
okay, I'm Joan, but I don't see my face.
I see you. You're beautiful.
Thank you. You could say that again.
You're beautiful.
I have been away for a couple of months. During the hurricane, I fell in my apartment and I had to go to the hospital. And fortunately, no bones were broken, but badly bruised, very badly bruised. So I've been going for physical therapy now for the past couple of months. And finally, I've stopped the physical therapy so I can come back to you, because physical therapy was the same time as the yoga class. So I have returned and I'm so happy to be back with you.
Welcome back, Joan. We're so glad you're in renewed health and vigor, and you're such an important part of our circle, our community here. So welcome back. Welcome back. You offer a wisdom of years and just knowledge from all your practice that's so valuable to all of us. So thank you. Thank you a million. Who was next? Linda. And then Wendy and Jared.
Hi, Lizzie.
Hi, Linda. Thanks for
I had also missed a couple of weeks, and I'm always sorry. There were other things that had to be taken care of.
Another reason to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
And I so appreciate the reminders. And I specifically wanted to speak to, I hope that you know how much and how special you are, how much you help us.
Oh.
And the dialogue that you use when you give your directions is unique in its own manner. It is so encouraging, and it is so just a little touch here, a little touch there to make the pose a little better. It goes a very, very long way. So thank you again, Lizzie.
Thanks, Linda. I'm so glad it's affecting you that way. I think long and hard about how I deliver directions and alignment adjustments. It's really, honestly, I think my cantorial colleagues and rabbinic colleagues will understand it too. It's in its own way a form of davening, because the way we give directions is really a form of prayer. It really can change the course of how we approach the pose and how we approach our lives. And I'm always thinking of all of you guys. You're a blessing to me too in return, because every day of the week when I practice, I'm thinking of you and I'm thinking of my inner dialogue and, okay, how will I tell them? How will I tell them? And I check my books and I check in with, various teachers. So thank you for noticing. It's really self-talk, right, is ultimately what we're saying. And how we do self-talk can make a very big difference in how we look at the world. So that's getting meta, but it is meta, Wendy.
Sorry, I have trouble unmuting. I want to first thank everybody so much. This is only my third time here, but this was so beautiful and powerful. You know, this is one of 3 options I have for Zoom yoga on Mondays. And I always find myself wanting to do this one, but I can't always. But today has made me feel like this is the only one. It was just
Yikes. Pressure's on.
Well, I just felt so. It was just the imagery and the meaning you brought from Hanukkah. I really did feel stronger and more powerful, but I also felt in better alignment physically. I'm also in physical therapy now, and I like this much better. But I do have a mechanical question.
Sure.
That is that I haven't been here to hear about the bolsters, but for physical therapy, I got a foam roller, and I tried when I was lying down. I tried using the foam roller instead of a blanket because it was easier to do quickly. And it seemed like the same thing, but I don't know whether there's a benefit to getting, it sounds like the bolster is softer, which might be nice, but.
Softer and also rectangular. You want to get the, they call them, there's the rectangular and the round. The round they call a pranayama bolster, and the rectangular is called, I don't know, everyday bolster. That's the one you want. It is softer. And also even think about this. I mean, the size of this roll and the size of a foam roller to do what we did today, and this isn't even like the hardest foam roller. I think this is for a 30-year-old.
I ended up
not for, because I really thought about it, and it's like, really, we use our bodies, and a lot changes over time, and we have to be sensitive to those changes and not make ourselves wrong that it's happening. We just have to navigate it. And if you've played a certain number of racket sports and used your body or done anything at all, or a lot of yoga even. I don't do the yoga I did when I was 30 or 35. It was a lot of vinyasa, even ashtanga. It was a lot of wrists and a lot of sun salutes, downward dogs, planks, chaturanga dandasana. I don't practice like that anymore, not at all. And it's not that you can't receive the benefit, but you find a different way so you don't risk injury. So that was a long detour to say, I wouldn't use this to lie over. And you'll see if you go to huggermugger.com, they actually on the bolster page, they offer a bunch of suggestions. And so you can then know how to use that bolster. And another book that's really great is The Bible of Restorative Yoga, Relax and Renew by Judith Lasseter. And that'll show you a lot with the bolster.
Great.
So the bolster there's so much for restoration.
I had to use a.
And I get no kickback, to be super clear.
I had to use a yoga block for my head because using the bolster, I couldn't bend back enough to put my head on the ground. So, okay, thank you.
Sure. Jared, bring us home. I think this is our last, and then we'll sign off.
I just want to follow up with Wendy and just thank you for all of your consistency. It's very inspiring. And congratulations to Joan for graduating the physical therapy. That's never easy. My wife was doing some physical therapy after giving birth. And, it can be stressful if you're not used to that environment. And also, I really enjoyed the wall poses. And I'm noticing I have a lot of tension in my shoulders. Obviously, maybe it's just lifestyle.
Life.
That I'm a man. I don't know.
It's all. But,
do you have any suggestions? Do you have any suggestions that I could add in addition to the poses we did today to work on those shoulders sort of loosening up?
Yeah, I mean, what we did today, I've done this class now for myself like 3 times, and I'm like thinking this is really a staple. This is one to tag and keep on this was a good class. I mean, without self-congratulating, there's really good stuff in here. And also last week's, Jared, I know you were here last week, that shoulder jacket, and it's really continuation of the same stuff. What we're trying to get is this space can just get so tight. I would say if you work a lot, so the twists are amazing. We don't think of that as a shoulder thing. But you know, if you have some movement in the paraspinal muscles and in your rib cage, then you have shoulder. That's, you know, it's head, jaw, neck, shoulder. If you have a tight jaw and you just do a little massage or a little, that's really good for your shoulders. We wouldn't guess that. If you work at a computer a lot, take frequent breaks. You can even set a timer. Do a couple shoulder rolls. I only do them in this direction, really, and I kind of learned that in PT. They're like, we don't need to do this. We don't need to bring our shoulders forward. We live like that. So I just tend to only do this direction. And then you've got head to the side, ear to the shoulder, and chin to the chest, or like, you know, half circles. All of that is shoulder. All of that is shoulder. You can take arm across, you know, or eagle arms. You can take the arms behind. That's like 10 more things. But I would say, like, when you have a little more time, last week's class and this week's class, so good for shoulders.
Thank you very much.
So I hope that's helped. Love to you all. We'll be back. We will be back next week, as we do. And let's see. We got just a couple small flames left. So keep your flame up. Enjoy this final day. Karen, thanks again. Sei gesund.